Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. In this video, I wanted to just briefly touch on a little bit of stuff when it comes to like the Ripple versus SC stuff and just kind of the sentiment when it comes to like this whole nature of decentralized community coming together to fight the good fight. And then we're just going to touch on kind of what's been going on with this whole Terra blockchain officially halted following the Luna price collapse and the depegging of the UST and just a little bit of a sentiment and kind of what's going on, how it's affecting, a lot of members within the community, obviously all people in the marketplace, because it's literally just added to the weight of that, the free fall that we've been having in our markets and how it's kind of shifting into this narrative of, we need regulations behind these stable coins, and it just gives the almost more power to these, people in government like Janet Yellen and them to kind of fit their narrative of getting regulations within the space. And then we're going to end with this update from Cointelegraph. It says U.S. Senate confirms Jerome Powell for another 4 years as Fed chair. So you're going to have to bear with me. I kind of got like a little sinus issue right now, so kind of hard to talk. But we're currently sitting at a $1.33 trillion market cap, currently down 0.9%. Bitcoin sitting at 29,912, so it's kind of been ranging in this 28,000. I think it did hit like 27,000, 27.5, but we kind of been ranging here in between like the 30,000. Ethereum sitting at 2052, XRPs ranging from like 38 to 41, 42, and so on. There's been a lot of volatility. If we come over here and we type in Terra Luna, I mean, just devastation. I mean, this thing its all-time high was 119 and just complete devastation. They completely just halted kind of what's been going on, but we'll cover that more and we'll come back and touch on that. But there's a lot of market fear and uncertainty. We're still sitting in this extreme fear range where we've been living at for some time now, and we're at a 10. A lot of fear out there, man. And, I just want to send my love and prayers to, all the people out there. My family's been affected. It hasn't, made us sell any of our assets or anything. We're kind of holding strong. And, whenever we feel it's fit for us, we're going to continue to try to accumulate what we can accumulate. But, we just want to send our love and prayers to, all the families out there that's been affected, especially the Luna community. So quickly touching on this thread from Johnny Deaton. He's referring to Cointelegraph, where they write, if the conflicts exists, Deaton said the case could be game, set, and match for Ripple. He says, for the record, this is not what I said. Him having a conflict of interest is declaring ETH a non-security doesn't equate to Ripple winning the lawsuit. He comes down here and says, a conflict of interest doesn't mean XRP isn't a security. The emails demonstrate him and agreed to submit things like the speech for conflict screening. What I said is if he didn't submit the draft to ethics for conflict screening, it's game, set, and match regarding a violation. So he just kind of correcting, for the record, but it's like these media outlets, whoever, owns them and whoever has the power behind them, like they tend to not get things right in regards of, and I highly utilize Cointelegraph, and I'm not trying to throw a lot of shade at it, but it's just a reality. Like they tend to, get, certain statements and stuff wrong and right to kind of fit their narrative, whether they're doing it on purpose or, unintentionally. But he's just kind of correcting the record there. And I wanted to touch on this tweet here because it kind of goes hand in hand when it comes to the XRP community, the library community and people that's under the scrutiny of the SEC and just kind of coming together for a common cause. It says, this is from it's Erica Gilbert 777. It says, if there ever was a David and Goliath story in digital asset space, it would be the story of how a tiny slew of XRP advocates dug for the truth and overcame all odds to stay the evil tyranny of the SEC. And quite honestly, I 100% agree. And like when it comes to like the history books, especially, where we see, XRP and Ripple going in regards of this new financial system, its use case and its utility solving a real world problem, like this will be really, spoke about in the history books, and it will be known as a decentralized community coming together to fight the good fight and standing up for what's right. And I absolutely love this, and I'm going to make sure I retweet it. Actually, I'll quote tweet it. Put a 100 on this thing because that's so true, man. That's awesome. The community coming together, and we have to realize that in the crypto space, we're all one. It's literally us against everything else. This space is so small, sitting at a $1.33 trillion market cap. We're so early in this thing, and it's like we got to stand up for one another because we need this space to flourish. So now moving on, there's been a lot of stuff happening in this whole Terra community with the depegging of the UST stablecoin of Terra Luna. Luna's price completely just just being decimated from 119 all the way down to nothingness, 100% down. Obviously, they've halted kind of what's going on. We'll kind of cover a little bit of that as well. But I just wanted to touch on this because we've already talked about, some of the narratives out there of like why it happened, how it happened. There was talks about there being like, millions of dollar, wagers, as in like, Do Kwon kind of being challenged by certain people and him coming back at certain people like, okay, we'll bet, I bet, this won't happen. And, on top of, the whole, apparently Citadel and BlackRock had got 100,000 Bitcoin loan from the Winklevoss and yada yada yada. Who knows what narrative is true? Only the people that's involved, I'm sure, know what the real narrative is. But there's been a lot of different narratives that's been going around. So whether the case is, it's just been decimation and just pain and turmoil because of it. So this says breaking Terra blockchain officially halted following Luna price collapse. Validators decide to halt chain operations on Thursday in anticipation of governance attacks as the Luna token plunged over 99%. So if we come over here, Binance will delist Luna USDT contracts as price falls below 0.005. So there's been a lot of stuff. And if we come over here to Watcher Guru, it says, obviously the blockchain has been halted at block height of whatever this number is for the second time today. Coming down here, it says justincrypto.com has temporarily suspended Luna trading and withdrawals for the second time today. Binance has delisted Luna. Right here it says breaking Luna has lost another zero and is now worth what we just covered. Luna is now worth. It's just Luna. It's been a lot of talk, and then you have KSI saying he lost 2.8 million. I think it was like worth like nothing now, maybe $100 or something crazy. But like, there's been a lot of major players out there that's been involved in this community that's just been completely decimated, just like the small investors out there as well. So what I'm coming into is I wanted to cover this tweet thread here from Crypto Mom. She says, UST was one of the biggest ecosystems in terms of TVL, total value locked up in DeFi, 16.8 billion, only second to Ethereum. So from a former banker's perspective, here's why the market crash will go down in DeFi history. Terra is decentralized, open source public blockchain built to support a suite of fiat-pegged algorithmic stablecoins. Primarily includes Terra UST. So it says, per the website, it was the leading decentralized stablecoin in DeFi by market cap. Stablecoins like UST, USDC, Binance USD are backed by reserves, meaning they're always matched US dollar reserves and bank account. Algorithmic stablecoins like UST are not backed by a dollar, but rather by a sister token. In this case, Terra Luna was the sister token that was created, minted, or burned, destroyed to maintain the stability of UST. Most people in crypto love to earn passive income and prefer to use less risky tokens. This is why stablecoins are preferred. Enter Anchor Protocol, a protocol that promises a stable savings rate between 19 and 20% per year on their own stablecoin UST. And if you are in traditional finance, you know that any APY over 5% is unheard of. In my opinion, 20% was not sustainable long term. First red flag. If 20% was an introductory rate to lure people in, then that makes sense. But this rate was offered even after last year's May depeg. FY, this isn't the first time UST depegged. Last year, from May 20th to 24th, UST hovered between 96 and 99 before climbing back to $1 on the 25th of May. They were later warned by an article in September 2021 that stated the design of UST is scalable and decentralized, but the reflexivity poses existential risk. Quote, if the price of Luna falls, it can drive a run on the bank as users rush to redeem their UST for $1 of Luna and sell that Luna. As the selling pressure drives the price lower, more Luna needs to be printed per UST redeemed, and Luna's supply can be hyperinflated. Given the extreme volatile nature of crypto capital markets, we believe that the existential risk in UST makes it unsuitable for the majority of stablecoin use cases. Multi-coin capital, solving the stablecoin trilemma multi-capital. I guess that's some sort of article or something. It says, she continues, says, so whether this attack was initiated by hedge funds, Citadel LLC, BlackRock, or the government, who knows? It could be all parties, who knows? Because they view DeFi as a threat to TradeFi, it really doesn't matter, because at the end of the day, the main benefit of decentralization is to remain resistant to centralization. And it really doesn't matter because it's happened. It's 100% down. People have lost everything, houses, life savings, kids college tuitions. I mean, everything. There's people that's been in there that's completely lost millions, hundreds of thousands. She continues and ends here. UST failed the test. So you've heard of the guy who lives in glass house and throws stones at others. That's Do Kwon for you. He is the same guy that said he wanted to kill the longest running stablecoin in the market. His ego crashed the crypto market May 2022. So, how long is this? We could play this right here because I think it's kind of painting a picture of what she's saying here. Let's listen into this.
I wonder how many of these companies you think are entering the space just because it's hot and there's a lot of funding versus the ones that will still be here, like 2 to 5 years later.
Oh, 95% are going to die.
Yeah.
95% are going to die. Yeah. But yeah, there's also entertainment in watching companies die too.
There's entertainment. Oh man, that's so evil. At least you get to learn from it, right?
So that's not just. I mean, there was he has a bunch of tweets responding to certain people, going after the DAI token, stablecoin, and pretty much saying stay happy being poor type stuff like that. Don't quote me on that exactly, but that's pretty much how his behavior's been. And he kind of went at the billionaires within the space. So that's what she's talking about in regards of living in a glass house and throwing stones at others. So with the reason why I'm bringing this up, because Johnny Deaton hits it on the head when it comes to what's going on, okay? And he's relating it to kind of what's going on with the Ripple versus SEC stuff and how it's affected, the life savings of that community. So coming into here, he says, when the SEC sued Ripple and XRP tanked and people got liquidated and lost their life savings, some people said, quote, they deserve it for being stupid, or quote, for investing in a poop coin. I see similar comments regarding Luna and UST. People make mistakes. We all have at some point. Absolutely. He continues, financial education, especially in the United States, is non-existent. Unless you're an evil human being, you do not, quote, deserve to be financially devastated. Some very successful financially savvy people were in high on Luna, just as some were on XRP. So Mike Novogratz, and we're going to cover a video of Mike Novogratz. He says, hell, Mike Novogratz got a Luna tattoo, and he is as sophisticated as investors come. The point is, smart people were invested. I'm not excusing laziness, and I'm not suggesting that you should feel sorry for anyone because they made a bad decision or what you consider a stupid decision. No one is entitled to your sympathy. That's your feeling. That's yours freely to give when you deem it appropriate. There's a significant difference from not being sympathetic and celebrating the pain of the innocent people. There are lives behind the grave statistics. There are good people behind the massive losses. You can call people naive, lazy, greedy, etc. And maybe some of it's true. You want to say, quote, I told you so. That's fine. But cheering or celebrating or making fun of the fact that people lost everything is shameful. If you're an XRP holder, I'm sure you recall those that celebrated at your loss. Just now I learned 8 people have taken their life over the shame and terror of losing it all. So, this was 3 hours ago. I saw a post, and I don't know how accurate it is, but it was saying, something over the number of 20 people have, reportedly taken their lives in regards of losing everything. And whether, that number's right, whether it's more or less, it doesn't matter. One life lost, from this tragedy in the markets, it's absolutely absurd. And the reason why I'm bringing all this up is because me as a husband, as a father, as a man, I can't imagine, going to that extreme and taking it to that degree. Life is worth way more than the complete devastation that happens, within, money and markets. Yeah, stupid decision or not, I've made a lot and I've lost a lot of money in relation to the proportions of money my wife and I have. But I'm saying this because if you're listening and you're out there and you're having, this hurt and pain, just know you're not alone. Reach out to people, contact people. Don't take this burden on by yourself. There's support out there, and we're all in this. Reach out to the communities within, whether it's Discord, Telegram, Twitter, whatever the case is. There is a lot of negativity out there, so be careful. But just know your life is worth so much more. Money can be made back. We can get more jobs and make more money. There's people out there that love and care for you, and that, for most of us, that have families, like they rely on us. They need us. So to hear people are losing their lives and taking their lives, it just breaks my heart. And I wanted to bring this up because it's so important. Yes, this is absolutely terrible, complete devastation. but it's not worth your life, and that's why I'm bringing this up. So moving on from there, Digital Asset Investor was talking about how Mike Novogratz was highly invested, ended up getting a tattoo, and there's been a picture of him with the Luna Wolf tattoo on his, I think it's his left arm. But this is from Digital Asset Investor. He's kind of putting up this video of Mike Novogratz talking. It says, "You were quick to have Novogratz on when it was time for him to scratch his head about XRP and why he doesn't see any reason for it to go up. Why not have him on now to speak on Terra Money?" So disregard what Digital Asset Investor says here. I'm just going to literally go into and just kind of hear him talk about, his investment in Luna.
I have made probably more money this year on Luna than almost anything else. I bought Luna really early. I was wildly impressed with the CEO. Not that he's allowed to be a CEO, but the founder. With Dow. Yeah. And I've just watched that community grow, mostly because it was a real use case originally with the payment app, right? With the Chai payment system, you're using it in Korea to do things. It was, in some ways, the first guppy that jumped out of the swamp and became a frog. And he's done an amazing job building that.
So the long story short, the reason why I'm showing this is like Mike Novogratz is very successful, whether he has certain information that the public wouldn't have, and he's a part of whatever groups that are out there. It doesn't matter. He's a guy that invests well, makes great money, and he was invested. There's big players on YouTube and YouTubers and people out there in the industry that have millions of dollars invested, that invested hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars into this, and they've all suffered the same fate that even the small investors are reportedly lost. I mean, reportedly it's 100% down. I mean, if they held, they lost. So the reason why I'm saying this, it's important to realize that if you're feeling down on yourself because you made a mistake, just look. So-called sophisticated, highly intelligent people when it comes to the investing world made the same mistake and suffer the same fate that you have. Yes, their situation is completely different. I 100% understand that. But to hear people losing their lives, taking their lives, it's truly heartbreaking. Watcher Guru says, just in, U.S. SEC official Hester Pierce says, quote, "We might see some movement around stablecoin regulation." So now the whole, depegging of the UST and obviously the Luna UST going completely down, Luna going is pretty much zero, the community being devastated, the markets being completely decimated. Janet Yellen and Congress have started communications on trying to roll out, stablecoin regulation, crypto regulations, by the end of the year today, or by the end of the year of 2022. So it's like, it's almost fitting this narrative. Like literally these government officials got exactly what they wanted, whether they were part of this, creating this mess or not, who knows what the case is, but now they got more fuel for their fire to roll out these regulations. So now we're coming to here. It says stablecoins recent depegging is not a, quote, real threat to financial stability, says Jenny Yellen. Terra's UST dropped as low as 29 cents. And Tether's USDT stablecoin briefly depegged from the dollar to hit 96 cents on Wednesday. I think it hit as low as like 94 cents. And that was causing a lot of issues within the community as well. So it says, Yellen hinted that the stablecoin market was not yet at a size in which UST dropping to 40 cents and USDT, the largest stablecoin by market capitalization, briefly depegging from the dollar to hit 96 cents, would create a, quote, real threat to financial stability. The Treasury Secretary cited on November from the President's Working Group on Financial Markets and said the council was currently analyzing, quote, potential financial stability risk in the digital asset space. Quote, "They're growing very rapidly," said Yellen, referring to digital assets. Quote, "They present the same kind of risks that we have known for centuries in connection with bank runs." So long story short, it's literally fitting the narrative, and everything seems to just be falling into kind of how things, it's almost like too obvious or a coincidence, as they say. It just, everything kind of seems a little fishy. So who knows what the real narrative is? Who knows how this thing actually happened? Just know that it's happened, and this is where we're at. So we can expect regulations, especially when it comes to stable coins, really come into effect, and it's going to fit into their narrative of rolling out CBDCs and whatnot. Ending on this, U.S. Senate confirms Jerome Powell for another 4 years as Fed chair. So in an 80 to 19 vote in the Senate, U.S. lawmakers confirmed Jerome Powell as the next chair of the Federal Reserve System, where he will also serve as a board member until 2028. So obviously this is going to play effect on how things go forward in regards of, combating inflation, what happens, in regards of, the interest rate hikes, their decisions on how to combat that, and so on. So obviously we have, I think, 5 more meetings this year. I can't remember how many meetings, but the FOMC meetings, I think that's what they're called, in regards of interest rate hikes and so on. We'll see kind of how things play out. And, Jerome Powell being in the chair till 2028, obviously these are legacy years for him. So we're going to see what he does to kind of get us back on track, or whether we're going to, go further down. Inflation is going to go catastrophically. Who knows what's going to happen? It's just kind of a waiting game and kind of see how things are going to go. But, long story short, I want to send my love and prayers out to the Terra Luna community, to the entire crypto community. I know there's a lot of even smaller investors like myself that were invested in other projects that completely completely decimated as well. And I just want to just pray for you guys and just let you know you're not alone, okay? If you're feeling a certain way, reach out. There's a lot of support lines, hotlines. Reach out to community members. Get away from the negativity. If you see negativity, just get away from it. There's a lot of positive people out there in our space that are really genuine people and that really love this space and really care about the people in this space. It's about a decentralized community coming together to stand together as one, to fight the good fight and make sure that this space is prosperous and is healthy right into the future. With all that being said, stay strong out there. Be safe.